Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. Just so everyone knows, this meeting is being recorded. We'll send out the recording to all the participants after. But first, we'd like to welcome everyone to our press day for Q4, introducing Revizto Plus and Clash Automation. We are very excited to share with everyone, what is coming on the 19th. As mentioned, we are a few days ahead of our release. So just to note, that this is a private release right now to the press. But again, thank you everyone for joining, and let's get this thing started. A couple reminders, just noting that this is invite only, so please remain, everything discussed on this presentation today is to remain confidential until October 16th at 8 a.m. And note that our official global release, public release, is October 19th at 11 a.m. So if you're interested in joining that as well, there'll be a few additional things, more of a deep dive into what's coming, but that will be, you can join that on Revizto.com. And then it is my pleasure to introduce our hosts, Armin, our CEO, and Brett, head of Global Director of Customer Success. So I will hand it off to Brett and Armin, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jameson.
Thanks, Jameson. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll start, Brett, for these first slides, and then I'll let you run the demo. So for everybody's information, where we are, who we are is by numbers. We have over 3,000 global clients company-wise, over 200,000 users. You can see some data on activity. I'm not gonna kind of word all that stuff. We have basically seven languages, 150 countries utilizing Revizto, and truly embracing globally and having a footprint in the AEC industry in all continents. I'll give maybe more info on the users. We are in North America, in Europe, in Southeast Asia, ANZ, Australia, New Zealand. The biggest kind of parts that are utilizing Revizto. Next slide. So wanted to give you some, because I don't know if you guys are aware of our path, what we've been through and, throughout all these years, and what was the initial idea behind Revizto that we brought life. So the first time, the company-wise, we founded in 2008, but, the whole idea was to bring the gaming technology into AEC world, to change the way people are communicating. Because the way I've been witnessing back in 2007 and 8, before launching the company, how people are communicating, it was kind of frustrating and really surprising for me, coming from the other industry. We were in a geoinformational system, and seeing that kind of pushed me a lot to kind of bring some innovation in this industry. And if you look at the timeline of the innovations that we've been going through all these years, last 11 years, basically, that to bring a one integrated platform to collaborate and communicate and throughout the project lifecycle, right from the beginning until end of the project. So from the highlights that I would like to say throughout the years, it's 2010 was the year when we said, okay, let's bring the gaming technology into AEC world. Let's let people not just the static data that they have and used to have in Revit and SketchUp at that time. These were like two platforms at that time, creating in 3D models. Otherwise, everything was in 2D. And what we can do to kind of bring that gaming technology to let people consume that data in a very simple way and interactive way, because not everyone knew apparently Revit or SketchUp. They couldn't actually easily walk through there, fly through there, and seeing the data more interactively. So the overall first idea was bringing that gaming technology into this world, and making it easy access to that BIM data and CAD data, I would say. So 2013 was the year that we brought the issue tracking. So, because seeing interactively not enough, right? And the next idea was, okay, seeing something, it's good, but how do we report on the things that we're seeing are not right? How do we communicate? And the idea was right from the beginning, to bring that issue tracking system. And the behind the issue tracking that we brought was always something that we had in development. That was the Jira, how to coordinate and collaborate within the issues. And basically, we've created a Jira type of issue tracking for AEC industry, tailored for this industry. So, and then, we moved to basically merging the 3D and 2D in 2015, bringing the 2D sheets and combining them, overlaying through automatically above the 3D, which is until today one of the most important, I would say, and featured feature, I would say, by our users, and utilized feature that you can see on a 2D on top of 3D. And then, further down on the line, basically we were bringing the, more data into Revizto, not only, authoring tools, but photo geometry and point clouds, which was also a pretty epic, period of time when some people could see their photo geometry, which is practically very heavy data, and Brett can elaborate on that a bit more in a bit. Seeing that data not on a heavy machines, but on your iPad, that not streaming, but it's on your offline iPad, that you can be on a job site and work with it, and then seeing more of that data and consuming that data. And then 2018, bringing more interactivity, bringing the predefined workflows with the stems, where basically we're saying, okay, we're defining the stems. We are doing this workflow automation from the issue perspective to make it easier for on a job site, having this predefined workflows and stems for the field people. And then moving into 2019, more integrations with the documents, right? CDE platforms, and we brought BIM 360, Box, Procore integrations that people could basically upload, avoid uploading the same document and sheet into two different platforms. So Revizto basically connected to the CDE platforms to see those data and drag those data into Revizto and attach to any issue that you have. And then 2020, basically from 19 to 21, this was a shifting period for us, because we said, okay, we've done all these years, all these innovations in a sense of the coordination and collaboration. What do we do next? What do we? How do we move forward for the next 5 years from now? And the idea behind of Revizto 5, when we brought last year 2020, is to change the way you work with the data, basically based on object data, and expanding the use of it. And internally we're saying we're basically bringing you can Google your building. So you can say multi-parameter in your search, you can set those multi-parameters, and it would instantly find and show you where that object or data is located within your model. And that was basically the year when we said, okay, we're setting this new standard, but the next step is to complete that coordination with the clash automation within one platform. So that's kind of sorry, maybe being a bit long on that, but I wanted to kind of do a recap of all these 11 years of constant innovation, bringing the coordination, collaboration into the AEC world, and why we brought this, the clash automation. And again, Brett will talk a bit more on the clash automation thing. What are we touching? Yeah.
Armin, we had a question come in and was asking about the gaming technology that was introduced back in 2010, and if the same technology is being used, or what has changed with that?
Gaming technology, what? Didn't get your question.
About which gaming technology was introduced back in 2010? The question was asking Unity, Unreal, and then
I mean,
same technology being used, or did it change?
Yeah, I mean, Unity or Unreal, they became frameworks, right? It's a gaming technology, gaming engines. It's like any program, you know, when you program any platform, you're utilizing different kind of codes like C++, C Sharp, etc. So in that perspective, gaming technology, when we say that's the gaming engine, and then on top of that engine, we were building everything on, you know, our own. So it's not something that you're plugging and playing. So when we're saying gaming technology, it's more wider definition, bringing and introducing that interactive gaming type of technology in the AEC world. But if we're saying specifically, we were since 2010, we were on Unity as a framework that we were utilizing, and that again, we're utilizing only the kind of the framework of the Unity and the engine, but all the rest is built by us on top of it, all the functionality, feature set, UI, and the logic and everything. So it's and hopefully that answers to the question. All right.
Thanks, Armin.
So Revizto today. Again, I'll maybe leave here to Brett to talk a bit more and more specifically on that, you know, true coordination, collaboration environment that we're bringing for AEC industry from basically horse's mouth from the VDC perspective, and and that'd be kind of more you know, useful for you to hear, and I'll be adding anything I'll see that I need to add. Brett, the floor is yours.
Absolutely. Yeah, so, you know, Revizto today is really getting to the point where I sort of wanted it to be when I first saw it, right? It's always been a great product, but now we're really at this precipice of we can handle what happens between authoring and project management. And that's really where we want to lie, right? So when we talk about Revizto today, we're talking about centrally managing a process that has typically been pretty chaotic, right? Not only on the design side, but also on the construction side. We want to drive and reduce those bottlenecks with the real-time collaboration. And the way that we do real-time collaboration is having the proper context of what we're looking at. That means scans, that means object data, that means issues, that means screenshots. All of that needs to be centrally managed. One of the other things that I think is really important about what we're doing and what's going on today is that we wanted to simplify the workflow. Any Revizto user out there will tell you that before clash automation, in order to take advantage of clash detection engines, you had to, you know, proceed with a model management workflow. Excuse me. That you know, you have to do a little bit of juggling. And now with our new development, that part is gone as well. And we really are going to be proposing that our clients import directly from these authoring tools. And of course, we have the flexibility where we can be used in VR, in mobile devices, in the office, and really trying to claim our spot of that company that is going to begin to standardize coordination and collaboration in the AEC space. So, Armin, if you want to, there we go.
Yeah.
So, with the integrated collaboration platform, this is really a term that we kind of coined when we all met in Europe for our team meeting, what feels like a decade ago, but it was actually only 2 years ago, or closing in on 2 years. And this is really important because a lot of people will say, well, Revizto seems to do a lot of things. And that's true. But it's everything that we do is geared towards that integration of the teams and the way that they collaborate. But there are a lot of different people on AEC projects, right? There are project managers, there are financial people, there are VDC specialists, there are detailers. How do we bring all those people together and translate their language into each other? And that's really where the idea of coining this term integrated collaboration platform came from. And we still feel like it fits really well with what we're doing here. So. All right, so Over the course, as Armin pointed out when he was talking about the timeline, really this whole concept of where we are at today began with Revizto 5. This was always a single idea that we decided that there was a lot of value to kind of release it in phases. Now, over the course of that time, we've had plenty of opportunity to deal with the quality of life improvements, images, quotes, custom textures, the way search sets work, the way that we bring the data in from the authoring tools, issue tracker fields for company, department, grid lines, stamp deadlines, preset view operations. These are all things that don't necessarily tie into Clash automation. However, they are common tools of the trade that need to be in the platform for people to use it effectively. So while we've been tackling these big ticket ideas, we've also been tackling these quality of life improvements. So, Revizto Plus is really the evolution of the product, right? And the reason that we went this way is because, we've always been known as an issue tracker. And even over the course of the last couple of years, that's not really been the case. But we really wanted to come out and say, look, issue tracking is just one of the things that we provide. It is no longer really the core of our identity, right? And here we could say that the workflow is really what we focused on here, is that how do we take a team in any of these parts of the industry that we serve and communicate everything that needs to be communicated from the way that's created all the way to project management. So that workflow is really important, is that we tackle everything that needs to happen from point A to point B. The second part of this was, how do we make those tasks, those individual tasks inside of that process, easier for the end user? And so that's what you'll see here, is that we have not over this overarching idea of what an integrated collaboration platform is, but also how do we technically make the lives of our users, easier. And here, I think this was really important, and something that Armin was a big part of, our development team, our industry team was a big part of, is that we really brought together these two teams over the course of the last 2 years and have really began to understand each other at a level that we didn't before. And what it's resulted in is a much more solid program, much more tailored to the end users, with less technical problems, because those problems were really thought about on a weekly basis with a lot of time spent. I mean, I don't know if you kept count, Armin, but I mean, we're probably closing in on 1,000 hours of meeting together. So
yeah,
something we thought was important.
Exactly.
So coming down to what are the big bullet points about Revizto Plus? Simplified model management directly from the authoring tool. Very easy concept, right? Oh, we need someone to view and look at what we created, out to Revizto, right? Very simple. Real automation for Clash issue tracking and reporting. Now, when we say automation, one of the things that's very interesting is that we wanted to automate, but we wanted to allow the users to have control over their data at a level that they always have, but they've been using manually. And I think that was a real big focus for us as well. The centralized and repeatable coordination processes, the idea of standardizing what exactly we do in this area, bringing better context, reality capture, hypermodeling. These are all things that are very, very important for people that don't know how to visualize this or compile data in their head visually, right? Being able to bring this context together is very good for non-technical people. And collaboration among the BIM coordinators with safeguards to prevent stepping on each other's toes, overriding each other's works, or potentially doing the same thing as another person at the same time. Because when we begin to collaborate, there's a lot of people doing lots of things. We need to work in parallel in this industry to hit our objectives. So there has to be a way that we can work in parallel without the risk of stepping on each other's efforts. All right, so what I'll do is I will do a brief, maybe 10-minute demo of the product for everyone. And if you want to see more, obviously we have that global release on the 19th. And so Jameson, if I can, I'll just take the screen, all right?
Sounds great.
All right, so can everyone see the screen here?
Yep, we can see it well.
Awesome, very good. So, you know, when we talk about the quality of life updates, right? Like you look at predetermined view settings. I can see my XYZ axis over on the left. I can go in here and actually fix my grids to a specific level. See that? These are the things that we are doing that don't necessarily relate to our overall goal. However, they do play a big part in what we're trying to do. So bringing all of this together was very, very important. Now, getting on to what we've actually developed here, it all started with Revizto 5 and the object data. So bringing in this object data, being able to see this object data, being able to retrieve those very detailed properties, along with the appearance profiles and the search sets, was really the basis of what Clash automation is. So you have to understand search sets. And in Clash, we are not allowing selection. We are not allowing a few different things because we want the workflow to be something that people embrace. We don't want people to just say, I'm going to take this model versus this model. We can do that if there's a good reason to do that, but it's not really what we were targeting. Now, when we open up Clash automation, we're going to see a few things going on here. We're going to see a lot of different tests. My team is working, on this every day. So if you see some duplicates during this demo and stuff like that, just keep in mind that we are working in this collaborative environment. And this is where we can see, look, Jesse's working on this test. I can only view what Jesse is doing. I can still get in there and look at it, but I can't modify anything, right? Because I'm not the person that's, making these changes. And so when I go back, I can actually see Greg Keller's in the test. Sean Hester's in the test. Laura Sharp is in the test. So this lets me know that there are people working on these, right? So that is one of the safeguards that we're talking about. But when we get into actually creating the Clash test, things should be very clear to everyone. Not only that, but we've taken everything a coordinator does and we have moved it into a criteria-based creation method. So I'll go in here and I'll create the Clash test. I'm going to do something, pretty simple here. And I'm going to say, all right, I want to take my ductwork versus my structural framing. As you can see, all of those search sets are there ready to go. And I can simply say duct versus framing. Now, up until this point, you're like, oh, this seems very familiar, right? Like we have search sets, you're creating a test, great, right? This is where things really start to change. Then we start to select the metadata that we want to pull out of the clashes. I can look at any of the other tests that I've created or any other templates and bring in exactly what I'm looking for as far as this metadata, include clashing type, group and group naming, clash naming, test editors, level models, all of that information is there. As I continue, you'll notice that I begin to do everything that I would do as a coordinator and I bring it back. So clashing type, we can say hard, clearance with a horizontal and vertical difference, tolerance, horizontal and vertical. So all of this has been thought about and put in here. We can choose to ignore duplicates, ignore clashes within the same model. And as we move through this, you'll start to see, oh, wow, we're getting deeper and deeper into the process before we even see results at all. This is a situation where I can go in here and I can say, all right, well, I want to group by level, room, grid, proximity. Maybe I want to go in here and I want to add an additional grouping based on a system classification, right? So I can say, let's group by system classification, and we're going to do element A for that ductwork. I can drag that right there, and now I've got a hierarchy of the way that my classes are going to be grouped, automatically named, as well as the individual classes in the group are going to be named. And then finally, we have the ability to automate all of these class items out to the end users via automation. And one of the things I'm going to show in the demo here is that we can do this all at once, or we can take it in a stage approach. So I'm going to go in and say, all right, stamp, mechanical clash. It's going to automatically assign to the right person. I'm going to say finish. So what we've done here is we have literally set up all the criteria of everything. And I can come in here and begin to edit things as well. I can say, what does my zoom factor need to be? What is my default section box size? Are the items transparent? Do we want to isolate those in transparency? All of that can be set up, and it's as simple as running the clash test to review the results, or I can run the clash test and send it to the issue tracker immediately. This is something that we think people are going to have to feel this out, right? So we're just going to run the test. And I do apologize if it's speaking for 2 days straight, so my voice is kind of crackly, but here we can see we have 1,220 hits, 372 groups. And when I open this up, I'm going to actually begin to see all of those clash items that I've set up.
But I want to underline here, sorry, Brett, how fast it searches. So that's also some, innovation we've brought within this build. So we wrote from the scratch that, clash module and super fast. And that's, that's something that, is worth mentioning.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I've done so many of these demos now, Armin, that the speed is something that I've gotten used to. I think if I had to do it the old way, I'd be like, oh my God, what's happening? So anyway, here you can see exactly what Armin was talking about. I can see all of these clashes. Those views are created. I can look at the individual clashing items as I go through here. And it's giving me that immediate screenshot, highlighting those elements, very nice and zoomed in based on the settings that I have. I'm retrieving that metadata right away. Let's say that we go back to all the clashes here. One of the big things that we've done here is that we understand the clash detection and coordination can be both a set of macro and micro processes. So here you can see something that was not available in Revizto, and that we can look at the clashes from a very high level. I can also go in and say, show me all the clashes on level 1. There are my clashes on level 1. Well, what about level 2? There are my clashes on level 2. So I can actually go in here and set up a view, something like this, lock my camera down, and then start literally going through the levels of my project. Where's level 8? There's everything going on level 8. What about 6? This is phenomenal for design build projects that are moving at a very, very fast pace because we can see exactly what we want to see through the use of these filters up here. So it's not just about creating the test, it's about retrieving results and being able to work with them.
And it's all in one platform, want to underline as well. You don't have to switch from one plugin to another. You don't have to do in different software. And one more thing I want to underline here, that you don't have to send any physical files, NWFs anymore to anyone to do your coordination of the clash. It's all cloud-based on your computer with your team, and everybody can see, what do you do? So that's super fast. It saves a ton of time because, in our industry, nobody has time, and more time we save, more efficiency we bring to the project. So that's a important point to underline as well. And, this also brings a huge opportunity for architects for their design phases, because architects usually don't use, Navisworks or Clash, any, Solibri, let's say, platforms, because they're too complex. But in this case, they have an opportunity not only to collaborate within the project, within the design phase, but also they do their design, a clash-free design, because they have that tool integrated and it's simple enough to do it. So that's a huge kind of opportunity for them as well. So it's not just for contractors, which is, obviously are the biggest, utilizers of Clash overall. But that's a huge opportunity for the architects to take that and embrace it and do eventually their projects and design Clash-free design.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out, just like you said, I mean, when you're the creator of the content in an A&E firm or architecture firm, you gain the benefit of having your own BIM standards that can really, really, get you cooking with gas on the automation side, because you know what you're getting out of your model. We can set this up to pretty much automate the entire process. And that's one of the things that, oftentimes, the architects and the engineers, they want to provide a clash-free design, but they're also not monetarily incentivized to do so. But if you can provide a clash-free design without any man hours, it's going to be something that's going to accelerate the quality of their product. So one of the things I want to point out here too is that we just created our results. Now this is where we talk about that stage approach, right? I can actually go through here now and say, as a coordinator, before I've given the issue out to the field, the design, the fab shop, we can go in there as coordinators and actually set up, what's been reviewed, what has been not reviewed, what has been approved, right? So I'm going to select all these and actually, for the sake of time, change them to not reviewed. I'm going to go through and select a few. So here I'll go through. I'll say this one's been reviewed. It is an issue. It needs to go out. This one has been reviewed. It is an issue. It needs to go out. This one, that may be a false positive. As I approve it, you'll actually see the color scheme change. So it's very visually alerting as to what's been approved and what's not been approved. But as I make my way through this as a coordinator, I can go through here and say that, I get 2 hours into working on this, and someone says, hey, I need you for something else. This is where in the old workflows, we would have saved it, put it on the shelf for a couple of days, got back to it. Maybe we got the information out on time, maybe we didn't. What our process allows you to do is literally say, okay, I've got some progress done, not everything. But so I want to send over everything that I've reviewed and I understand is an issue. Once I synchronize those clash tests, that is where everything that I've reviewed becomes an issue and is sent over to the issue tracker. And then that is how we deliver from the coordination team to the end user. Now, the end user will see this like they always have in Revizto, right? So this is not going to be a huge shock to the system for people in the field, people in the office. They're going to see that clash, screenshot, XYZ down here. They're going to be able to navigate that in 3D just like they always have. They're going to be able to see where that issue is at on the 2D documentation. So if I reduce my cluster here, you'll actually see this is a new clash issue. This is before. So we can actually see that stamps have been integrated into the way that we use clashes, which is a huge benefit. And the ability to see exactly where that clash is in an interactive 3D map view as well. So that is how things have been delivered, out to the issue tracker and immediately connect with everything we do in the workspace, the reporting. All of that is still the same. So we are really just, specifically filling a void that our customers have requested from us for years in the most intelligent way we possibly can. So Jameson, I think that's good. Armin, did I miss anything there?
No, absolutely not. I mean, we can talk about that, as Brett said, for hours, but, we're trying to be more applicable to, to show what are the, real benefits for different type of users. But that's we are moving truly into new era and new epic era, and we're looking forward to see where it takes us.
Absolutely.
Jamison.
Great. I was going to say, do we have any questions? Any of the attendees? We can open this up for a few questions. Or any there? Okay. So Anthony asked, can you take the issues back to authoring BIM apps via BCF?
Yeah, so we offer switchback with every authoring tool that we go with, but we also offer BCF export, import, repository update. So absolutely, getting back to the authoring tool is something that we do very well, and actually better with this version because there's a direct relationship with the authoring tool in Revizto, and there's no middleman anymore.
And then what is switchback? Can you explain as a follow-up?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for example, if we are looking at all of the elements here, switchback can be done via an issue or via an object. So I don't have Revit open, so I can't show it in its entirety. But if I was a Revit user and I needed to get back to this bench, I could select that bench, right-click, and use switchback functionality that would then create a view for me inside of Revit, CAD, Vectorworks, Bentley, whatever I was working in, so that I could fix that issue and provide an update to the collaboration environment.
Great, thank you, Brett. Well, and two other questions just came in. Well, one was earlier when we were discussing the gamification technology, and it was it based on vanilla Unity or Unity Reflect? I know that was from earlier on.
No. It has Reflect is a different product. They just came up. I mean, we are, again, we're not using any of the Unity products that they utilize. We're taking the gaming engine as a core. So that's something you guys have to understand, because Reflect, it's different. Reflect, it's their own product for visualization. It has nothing to do with Revizto whatsoever. So we're taking only the core engine, not their products. And again, we're not utilizing their end products made by Unity because we're just taking the engine. Hope that, clarifies.
Great. A follow-up question from was, can it be used in real time as opposed to a clash detection phase? Teams could design and see clashes in real time, stop clashes as they happen to make more sense than older workflows. In which way is this replicated? Yeah,
I mean, that's what we intend for everyone to do, is that there will be a trigger that happens from automation. New model information hits the Revizto project, and then those are either resolved, communicated back, and something that we're not going to be in the authoring tool letting people know that they're going to be clashing before they pull a pipe or something like that. But it definitely can be real-time feedback based on how quickly that model gets up into the cloud, and Revizto can reach out to that user and let them know that there is an issue. So real time is an interesting concept. The communication is definitely real time, but the closer to real time will actually depend on the users and how quickly they can get that information.
Well, and how quickly you can run we saw how fast results come from running a test. So that's pretty close. Another question came in was one they were saying, thanks for clarifying some of the stuff. Jira issue tracking tailored for the AEC. Can you explain a bit more fully for those that are maybe not be familiar with Jira?
Yeah, Jira, when I say Jira, it's, this is a purely issue tracking system made by Atlassian for the developers mainly. So developers can basically create the issues and, based on their development tasks. So task management, maybe we can put that way. So, and as we are, during the development, we're saying, okay, of the platform, we say the seeing interactive data is not enough. We got to create the issue tracking component that would allow people to, when they identify the issues, create those issues, assign those issues, and then start to basically follow up those issues through the dashboards and reporting systems, so on and so forth. So that being said, I just put a parallel that we have said, okay, let's just create our own Jira, but for AEC industry. And when I say Jira, we're not copying Jira. We're saying as a concept, creating a task management, issue management system for AEC industry. And that was 2013, like basically 8 years ago, when we brought that issue tracking component. And we had always the 3D, a 2D, and then issue tracking. So it's all integrated in, all together. And then when we started to expand the platform, we put docs integrations in there, and now the clashes as well. So it's all a true integrated collaboration platform in one.
Great. Another question was regarding, could you use IFC to get this in a real-time feed?
Yeah, I wanna give more details on that. So the philosophy of Revizto not to kind of tie people into a specific platform from authoring tool perspective or PM software perspective. So we are really betting on open beam in the sense of the format, that we're not forcing people to utilize a specific format. That's why since the beginning of our path, we've been creating all the integrations with all kinds of authoring tools and formats. So we are, I don't know if we have a slide here, let me see. We are integrated with basically all the formats that exist in AEC industry, including IFC, Aveva software, PDFs, anything, any that you would think of, as well as the authoring tools and main PM software integrations. So creating that bridges to all these formats and the tools enable us to be that common federated environment that people can bring within the same project, utilizing different types of software, bring in one place all that data and collaborate and communicate with. And in Revizto, not only that you can import your IFC models, but also in the end of the project, if you have a obligation, let's say in Europe, you have an obligation that by end of the project, you have to create, export an IFC model of your project data and keep it in IFC format, because it's an open format that you can use anywhere you want to in the future. So, and that's also possible within Revizto, that you can export any data that you brought, regardless of your authoring tools that you're working with, export into IFC format and keep it. I don't know, Brett, do you have anything to add on that topic?
No, not really. I mean, I think that when we talk about our global regions, right, they're very different. IFC is a huge part of what we do in Europe. IFC is a huge part of what we do in Australia. It's not so much in North America though. So, but I hope it to be eventually. And we do not want to direct our clients in any one certain way. We always want them to use the best tool for the job. It doesn't really matter who makes that tool, right? We are just going to facilitate the communication around whatever they've decided to use. I really love the concept of IFC. I think the thing that's hindering North America is the perceived performance of IFC. I hope that IFC 5 is great. I really do, because I really think that it's a great concept. But not every part of the world is ready for open BIM. So,
great. Another question. You mentioned Navisworks and Celebri. You're fleshing out capabilities. Do you plan on entering quality checking with rules like Celebri or 4D?
So here's the thing. I mean, I think that for us, we really need to perfect this coordination thing, right? I feel like when you get into 4D and you get into quantification and stuff like that, you're starting to leave the realm of coordination, right? You're still in there, but you're talking about analysis, quantification, output, things like that. And I think one day we'll eventually get there. But there are things that we can still do to better our product, and there are some very strong players out there for quantification and timelining, right? I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, going up against Synchro is a tall task, and, once again, back to our best tools of the trade methodology, are we going to spend the next year trying to make something that there's already a really good answer for? I don't know if that would be, a best use of our time. I can't say that we'll never go there, but I think we've got some things in collaboration and coordination to work on.
Yeah, well, I want to kind of echo what Brett said. We are not trying to, do everything, anything. We are trying and we are doing everything what concerns to coordination, because what we want to, truly set a standard, because that's something that gaps, if you look at the, this is what we've been always talking, and with Brett as well, that you have the authoring tools, different authoring tools like, Revit, Tekla, ArchiCAD, Bentley for the infrastructure. So any authoring tool has their own, they're already set standards for per vertical, per type of projects, right? And you have PM software, but when it comes to the collaboration, it's a chaos. People are collaborating through Excel sheets, emails, I don't know, different small plugins, or, any, different softwares. And it's inefficient, and that's what we're changing, and what we are aimed to change. I would say that way, to set a one platform for when it comes to the coordination and collaboration above all those platforms that exist, and that's why we're saying we're platform agnostic. We don't care where you are working, where you are creating your data. You bring that all in Federated in Revizto and work your coordination within one place. And with the Clash automation, when I said previously, bringing the Clash automation completes that circle of coordination and federated environment that people will be doing it. Of course, we have a lot of plans what we're going to be adding on top of it, but that's all concerned to coordination, not just to go left and right to 40s or anywhere else, but we're going to do anything what concerns and makes sense for the end users of this industry when it comes to coordination and collaboration.
Great, thank you, Armin. Another question regarding platform support and devices. Workstation, desktop, tablets, phone, web. If you could give a quick summary on the platform support.
Yeah,
Yes.
Or Brett, go ahead.
No, I think we both can answer this question. So, we currently work on a PC. We do have a VR application that allows you to put the project in a headset. We work on mobile devices and tablets, and then we do have a workspace. I think one of the most interesting things about this question is that we are going to be targeting some phone functionality over the course of the next year, maybe a little bit sooner. But yeah, the mobile device, the PC, and the VR really kind of covers that gamut from the office to the field. I think the last frontier for us on the devices is getting something functional on the phones.
Yeah, again, you have PC, Mac, iOS, Android devices, and VR sets. Everything is compatible with us, and it's plug and play.
Great, thank you. Sorry, we a couple more questions coming in. We're have a few minutes left, but one comment was for us to acquire Verify 3D with a smiley face on that. But then next question was, do you feel from our global view on the AEC market that OpenBIM is winning out in the industry? They would just like to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely not winning in North America. Everything is proprietary in North America for the most part. I can't tell you if I've ever heard of an OpenBIM project in North America. I'm sure they exist. I just don't know about them. However, when you get into Germany and the UK and France and stuff like that, OpenBIM is becoming a very common thing. So I think that eventually, for the sake of our industry, I hope it does win. But I can say that it's doing better in other parts of the world than some other parts.
Great, thank you, Brett. Well, that is the last question we have, unless there's any other ones, but we can wrap it up. So I don't know, Armin, was there an end slide that I think had my my email on there? I can also shoot it out to all of this, but we want to give everyone a huge thanks for joining today. We will send out a recording as well with some potential screenshots. I will also follow up with my email if there's.
Yeah, you want me to bring it up?
Yeah, I was just going to give, so everyone has my personal email. So if they want any other follow-up or maybe some one-on-one time with a regional director, as we have some people here from kind of around the globe, and we can go from there. So if you see my email, j.cox@revisto.com, you may have already received an email from me, but please, if you would like us to set up some one-on-one time or have any additional questions, please shoot them my way and we will get back to you. So thank you again, everyone, for joining, and hope to see you on the 19th for our global release. And thanks again, Brett, for taking the time out. We know you're on an event, and of course, our CEO, Armin. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.